Well, yesterday the ANC held its press conference where the party officially launched its policy documents for discussion ahead of its policy conference that'll be happening in June. According to Jeff Radebe, the Minister in Presidency, the objective of the ANC releasing its discussion documents is to enable all members of the ANC to review how adequate the policies adopted in 2015 are. In his delivery, Radebe acknowledged internal problems, citing a distance between the members and leadership, widespread corruption and abuse of the organization for personal gain. We've now got in studio with us Jeff Radebe, who is also the ANC Head of Policy. So good to have you. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you very much, Leanne, and all your viewers of Morning Live. I'm glad you invited me this morning.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. So it's quite a big admission, and coming from the party, saying that there's a growing distance between the leaders and the members, and that the party is losing the trust of the people. This, I imagine, is a big move to try and get that sorted out very quickly.
Well, the ANC is an organization of the people, and when we do assessment, we need to be very objective with the aim of ensuring that we can be able to improve so that the people can also regain our trust in order for us to effectively implement the policies and the programs of the organization. I think the municipal elections of 2016 have shown that when things are done in a wrong manner, people can be able to withhold their vote. So that is why this assessment on the organizational renewal document indicates the sentiments and thinking of some members of the ANC. So that is why, as a learning organization, as a listening organization, we go back to our people so that we can be able to correct our mistakes. So the organization is very proud of its tradition of a frank assessment and frank self-introspection, so that all of us, we need to hold our hands so that 2019 comes, we need to return the ANC in an overwhelming majority.
Yeah, you know, there's nothing really new. These issues have been raised before that we see in the documents. Economic transformation, improving the lives of the previously marginalized, reduce unemployment and inequality. You know, we sit as a country as one of the most unequal countries in the world. What is it going to take to bring these to a reality? What's different in this policy document?
There are many fundamental things that are different now. In 2012, when we went to Mangaung, we were not talking about the second phase of our radical socio-economic transformation of our society. Because since 1994, when the ANC came into power, the principal task was to consolidate the institutions of political democracy. That is why when you look at social services such as health, education, water, sanitation, we have made tremendous strides in South Africa in improving the quality of life of our people. We have half poverty between 2002 and 2011. But when it comes to the economy, the ownership and the control is still in the hands of whites and male. That is why we are saying now, what is most important is that we need to have this paradigm shift of focusing on the fundamental issues of the economy so that we can be able to have this inclusive growth, not for some, but for the majority of South African people, so that that aspect of our national democratic revolution, of the prosperous South Africa, let's focus on that. So that's what is different. Yeah. Secondly, what is different this time around is that it's only in 2012 that the ANC as a governing party adopted the National Development Plan, our Vision 2030. So everything we do under this program of ensuring that we can be able to deliver proper services to grow the economy. So those are the two principal differences of what we see today in 2017 than it was when we adopted the last policies in 2012.
Also education. I know that there's a massive policy proposal on education, and this was mentioned. I mean, that I think is one of the biggest stumbling blocks in moving South Africa forward. When we look at since 1994, the education system still remains one of the biggest problems. Why? What is the issue with education?
Well, I think the most important thing is that we as the ANC and also as the governing party, we have recognized that education is at the apex of our priorities. That's why when you look at the budget as announced by the Minister of Finance, Pravin Gordhan, about 3 weeks ago, education occupies the biggest slice of our budget, reflecting our responsibility and commitment of bringing about a better life for people of South Africa. Even if you look at the issue of unemployment, one of the major reasons why many people are unemployed is because they do not have the education, but more particularly the requisite skills that are needed in the economy. That is why more focus now is on TVET colleges, on vocational training, on apprenticeship program, and also of set asides for young people so that they can be able to ensure that their ambition is not only to get a job, but to be job creators. I come back to this issue of a radical socio-economic transformation. Those deployed in government must be able to utilize those strategic levers of power to ensure that they affirm our people, especially the previously disadvantaged, in terms of access to finance in the development institutions that the government controls, such as the PIC, ITC, NEF, amongst others.
Yeah, the one and one of the most important issues, and you spoke about it quite I suppose, extensively during the briefing yesterday, is the fact that there's a lot of soul searching taking place, and the 29 elections are around the corner. But one of the biggest problems within the ANC is the internal divisions, because this is something that's been highlighted by many people within the party, which poses a problem. I mean, one of the biggest examples coming out now is land at the center of discontentment here in South Africa. We know that. President Zuma has been quoted as saying to have support land without expropriation, while the ANC in Parliament took a different view. This is where big confusion comes in. How do we get around that? Looking for solutions, and particularly land.
There's no confusion on this question, because you remember the first Secretary General of the ANC, Solomon Plaque, in 1913 said, awakening on that Monday morning when the apartheid regime promulgated the Native Land Act, is that the native did not actually find himself without land, but a pariah in the land of his birth. So this historic injustice has to be resolved as a matter of extreme urgency. That is why we have to accelerate the land reform, restitution, but also to utilize the land productively. So all these proposals that are coming out forward is with the principal aim of ensuring that we can be able to accelerate the program, because the slow pace of land reform and restitution is a matter of grave concern. About 9.8% of the land that was supposed to be restituted has been, which means that if the current pace continues unabated, will take more than 40 years in order to reach the targets. So that's why the President is emphasizing that point, that it's time to think differently in ensuring that the land question is resolved.
All right, we have to leave it there, unfortunately. I'd like to dig a bit deeper on that one, but this policy now goes to the different
to branches, to sectors, because these policies are not only of importance to members of the ANC, but to all supporters and the people of South Africa as a whole. So it is important that everyone must have suggestions so that in December 2017 we can adopt policies that reflect the sentiments and the thinking of the majority of South African
All right,
people.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us here on the program. Jeff Radebe talking to us here in his capacity as the Head of Policy at the ANC. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. Let's take a break. We'll see you after this. Do stay tuned.